Welcome to the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast.
Hashtag hosts and the HQFM quiz and bingo software are proud to sponsor the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast. With HQFM quiz and bingo software, you can use this interactive quiz software at any venue. All you need is an internet connection. Go to hashtagquiz.co.uk for your free trial today.
Hello and welcome to Catherine Vandome and Me. I'm Catherine Vandome and I'm a stand-up comedian in recovery from very severe ME. I'm also a published author and my book is out now and it's called The Truth About Me. And just like today's guest, it's all about entertainment and health. And on that note, it gives me the greatest of pleasure to introduce a comedic hypnotist act, the brilliant Ken Webster. Hello there, Ken. How are you?
I'm very well, Cathy, thank you. I'm very well indeed.
And where are you, Ken? Because how exciting to hear what you're up to. I can't wait to talk to you today.
Currently, I'm in Vietnam.
Just popped over there.
Yeah, I'm in Vietnam. I was in China this morning, and now I'm in Vietnam today.
My goodness. And we're following your journey, but just in case anybody is unaware, Ken, of what you're doing, this incredible venture for charity, can you just share with us exactly what you're doing and why you're traveling around?
Right, okay. So I'm traveling from the UK to Australia, attempting to do it without flying. So far, I've done it. I've reached Vietnam. It's just a crazy idea, but I'm doing it for a charity. It's Brian House. It's a children's hospice in Blackpool, and basically those guys, it costs them something in the region of £1.6 million a year to keep it going. It's a children's hospice. They get about £250,000 off the government, and that's all the UK government give them. It's a hospice for dying children. Wow. And they've got to rely on people like myself to do fundraising. So, it's all right for the government to give millions of pounds. Well, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to.
That's a whole other podcast, Ken.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
And so what an inspirational story. For anybody that doesn't know who you are, I want you to introduce yourself and what your actual artist vocation is. You're an entertainer, you're a hypnotist, and you just tell us a little bit of background about you, Ken, before we go on to this incredible mission.
Okay. Well, basically, I'm a stage hypnotist, comedy stage hypnotist. I was the first outrageous comedy hypnotist in the country, doing shows for adults. I hold a world record for being the longest running stage hypnosis act to work at the same venue, which is the Horseshoe Show Bar in Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And this year is my 37th year at the Horseshoe, Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And no other hypnotist has ever done that length of time in one venue. And I start in April, Easter Saturday, and I go through until November. And I've done that for the past 37 years. I've got 2 kids and 2 marriages.
I was going to say, and you're only 38, so you started as a baby.
I know. So that's what I do. I've been all over the world doing my show. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sort of semi-retired now. I just do Blackpool. That's all I really want to do. I'll do the odd private function now and again. But I thought, I enjoy doing stuff for Brian House. I've done other charity stuff as well. But yeah, so that's what I do. That's what I've done, and that's what I'm still doing.
Fantastic. I mean, 37 years in showbiz, and we want to go back in time a little later on and hear more about how that journey began, Ken. But for now, what I want to focus on is this incredible mission, because you have been splashing our socials with some of the incredible journeys that you have already been on just to get to this point today, and going backwards and forwards to different countries, I think, as well. And just tell us a little bit about this adventure. When did it start, Ken?
I set off from London on the 22nd of January. That's when I set
Really?
off. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what date it is now. I don't know what month it is now. I know it's 2025. That's about as much as I know. I've missed trains. I've got on the wrong train. I've got off at the wrong station. I've made a right cock up on half of them. So I've actually gone backwards and forwards, backwards, all my own fault. Um, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it, to be honest with you. I've met some lovely people along the way. I've been to some horrendous countries. I've been on some horrendous trains. But I've been on some nice trains. So, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, really. Some of the hotels I've stayed in. Oh God Almighty! Oh, some of the hotels. But it's all part of the fun. It's all part of the fun.
That's incredible. And do you have a partner waiting for you at home when you return, Ken?
No, I'm recently divorced, so
Okay.
I'm young, free. Well, I'm free and single at the moment.
Okay. So it's you said that it's been very difficult having nobody to communicate with for longer than a couple of minutes. So I wanted to give you this opportunity today to sort of connect back with the UK, have a chat, and as you say, speak to somebody who directly connects you back to your roots. Because even though it's only been a few weeks, when we are traveling, and I'm sure the way that you are traveling with the challenges that you've been facing, it must feel like months. Am I right?
Absolutely. I mean, I still speak to my friends. I have video calls with my friends all the time, every night. My friends ring and my daughter rings or my son rings. So, I'm still having conversations with people. But for the past month or so, my conversation has mainly been through Google Translate, which is a pain in the arse if you've got no Wi-Fi.
Oh,
Because you got to remember that when you go to a different country, because I've done God knows how many countries now, you need to get onto the Wi-Fi. You need to get data. So you get an eSIM, which is pretty rubbish. So then you've got to find a SIM card for that particular country. Then you've got to work out a way to pay for it if you don't have any money on you. Everything that you do needs to be thought about. Absolutely everything. From when you get off at that train station in the middle of nowhere and you're like, right, okay, I've got no service on my phone. What am I going to do? So then you've got to find a McDonald's, or you've got to find some Wi-Fi to connect to an eSIM if you can't find a travel SIM. And it's just stupid little things like that add up and add up and add up. And especially in China, China was a nightmare because everything's banned. You can't get Facebook, you can't get Google, you can't get TikTok, you can't get YouTube, you can't get anything in China. Even though you've got a VPN to get through the ridiculous rules and regulations, you still can't do it. When I'm trying to upload vlogs and stuff, and I couldn't do it in China. I was in China for 4 days, and the internet was short. The internet, when you're traveling alone, the internet is your lifeline. That is your lifeline to the outside world. From I want to order a taxi to how far is this hotel? I want to book this hotel. I want to book that train. It's your lifeline. And going around China, trying to find McDonald's to get some free Wi-Fi, which was all edited down anyway. It was a nightmare. But every day is a challenge. Every single day is a challenge. Especially, when I did France and Germany, Bulgaria, Budapest, Romania, Bucharest, Georgia, all Tbilisi, I can never pronounce that, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan. You go to a restaurant, you can sort of work out with the words what you want to eat. China, it's just all squiggles. So literally, when I was going to a restaurant, I was getting a menu going, I'll have that. No idea what it is. No idea what it is.
wow.
It's just guesswork. Everything's guesswork.
But
Now
these
I'm
are
in Vietnam.
fantastic. These are fantastic challenges. And what I love is that phrase you've just used, Ken, in respect of the charity that you are doing this for Brian House. You said these are daily challenges. And I love that quote, because that's exactly what you're doing this for children who are facing daily challenges, and
the parents.
I think that's, and the parents, of course, and their families. Yeah. And I think that is quintessential to your message today. I'm facing daily challenges, which is what you are doing. But it's a choice. But actually, the rewards are going to pay dividends. And the idea of today, of course, is to, and you take me further, is to ask for potential donations in support of this mission of yours. Am I right with that? And how can people find you?
You are. I mean, I try to stay away from the donations because I did a 42-mile bike ride a couple of years ago for pancreatic cancer, because my mum passed away of pancreatic cancer. Oh. And then I did the show in drag in September, again for Brian House. It wasn't a pretty sight, me. Parasites in a frock. That was a challenge. That was a real challenge. But I was doing a Just Giving page, so I thought, I don't want people thinking that I'm tapping money all the time for charity. Oh, he's off again, he's doing something else. So I thought, I want to do something where I'm not really asking people for money. They can. There is a Just Giving page there if they want to give. But I thought, how can I do this? And I thought, right, okay, if I do this crazy challenge and vlog everything on YouTube, all people have to do is like, subscribe, and share all the videos that I put on, because eventually I will then be monetized by YouTube. And all the money that the videos make will go straight to Brian House. So therefore, I'm not asking people for money. I'm just asking people to subscribe to the YouTube channel, to like the videos, to share the videos. That's all I'm asking to do. Doesn't cost a penny. And eventually, I think it's 4,000 hours. I think we're up to about 3,000 hours at the moment. So once I reach that 4,000 hours, then it'll start, the money will start coming in. I'm not expecting money to come in until the middle of the year. Because once I start doing my summer season in Blackpool, obviously I'll be playing to 200, 300, 400 people a night. They're all going to see, look, this is what I want you to do. So that's when I'm hoping that everything's going to start snowballing.
What a wonderful heart you have, Ken. I know you're a comic and you're very self-deprecating and you're brilliant and you're putting yourself into very precarious circumstances and carriages from what I've been watching. But the rewards pay dividends in terms of your heart, and that's, you know, that's what this channel, my channel's about. It's about sharing people who are in entertainment and health, and that's exactly what you're doing. You are supporting people with ill health, children with ill health, but you are, of course, a leading entertainer and very well revered in Blackpool as the hypnotist there, as you say, of 37 years. So you certainly know your craft, and I just think it's magic. Do you think you just woke up one day, Ken, and just said, I'm having a midlife crisis, and instead of buying a car, you've done this?
No, it was a bottle of Jack Daniels. It was. That's how it started. I was thinking, I was having a drink with my friend, and I thought, how can I want to raise some more? Because when I took the buckets up to Brian House in October time, when I'd done the drag show, it was just heartbreaking. You know, there was a young little lad there in like a, how can I describe it? Like a Stephen Hawking's wheelchair, basically, you know, with all the back on it. And he's been spoon fed. And then as I was leaving, there was a little girl coming in with a Winnie the Pooh dressing gown on. The parents were with her, and I thought, oh, that's just shit. Yeah. That's just awful. It was just heartbreaking. And you've got all the wonderful staff at Brian House. How they do that job, I do not know.
I've read, is it Danny Wallace hitchhiking round Ireland with a fridge, and I likened when I heard your challenge to that. And so, you know, I don't know if you've read his book. And yours is incredible, and hopefully there's a spin-off book for you, Ken Webster, Trains and Automobiles Without the Planes, without John Candy.
Exactly. Well, I mean, the idea came when I'd taken the buckets, when I'd done the show in drag, and I got back home and I thought, I was having a drink with my friend, and I thought, I'm going to try and raise some more money, but on a bigger scale if I can, but I don't want to ask people for money. And I downed half a bottle of Jack Daniels. And I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Australia without flying. My mate said, don't be ridiculous. I chucked it on social media. The morning after, bing, 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 what a good idea. And I'm like, what's a good idea? Oh, you're having a laugh. And by the time I'd done that, it was too late. It was too late. I couldn't
I
do
think that's
anything.
magic, Ken. I think that's absolutely magic. And everybody watching today is going to be an applause of that, because I think the best ideas are at the bottom of a Jack Daniels bottle.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, Jack Daniels. You've landed me right in the shit here.
Sponsored by at the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's magic, Ken. And, again, testament to the commitment that you have to your challenges that you set yourself. Some people have these wacky ideas, but they don't, take them through to the next level. And you really have gone through to the next level, because I, first of all, want to stop you at where you were on the train. What was that recent journey that I watched all the way through on your socials? Because it's very wittily, comedically produced by yourself, but also you made some great friends and followers off the back of it as well. So what was that train journey? There was 4 to a carriage, and the best bit was you were in the wrong carriage to start with. So tell us about that particular journey, because it looked like that was the most challenging. From where to where, Ken?
Oh, where was? Do you know, Cathy? I have no idea where it was to, or where it was from. I remember it being really cold where it was.
I think it was Kazakhstan to China, or am I wrong?
It could have been Kazakhstan to China. Was it Kazakhstan to China? Do you know? Was it right on? Was it Urumqi to Beijing? It could have been that journey.
Yes,
I've done that many trains. Was that the one where I did Tiananmen Square?
It's the one where there was 4 people in a carriage, and you were sat there saying, "My goodness, I've got to be this close proxemics," and you realised the lady next to you was the person next to you was a lady, and then all 4 of the people that came into the carriage said, "You're in the wrong carriage, not us." You got yourself in your slippers and your hot toddy.
I felt a proper knobhead. I mean, these sleeper carriages, they're just. I mean, for a 12-hour journey, it costs you like 30 quid.
Yeah.
For a sleeper, it's cheap as chips, and you can see why. It was just awful. It was awful because I'm in a carriage with 3 other men, and you've got like 2 feet in between me and this other man. I could have put my arm around him if I wanted to, and everything's really hot and sweaty and smelly, and it's so uncomfortable. It was the most uncomfortable journey.
And is there a window, Ken? Is there a window for some oxygen or not?
No, you can't open the windows. You just breathe into the. And the thing is, they're all coughing and farting and stinking, and the beds themselves. Honestly, you hang over the beds. I mean, I'm not massive. You hang over the beds, and you start itching and scratching, and it's awful. I think I've done about 4 or 5 of those sleeper carriages.
And have you got a little teddy bear just to sort of scare them a little bit that you can hug?
And the toilet.
Wow.
The stand-up
toilet.
Is
this the toilet where I suggested there was a dance mat on the side?
Yes. Oh, you want to see this? You've got to hover. One? Yeah, I actually went into the toilet and looked at it and thought, I can't do that. I went in the sink.
There was a sink then. That's good.
That's horrible. It was. I mean, it's the way their culture is, which is fine.
Well, I was just going to say, we don't realise how blessed we are, Ken. I mean, this is a prime example of how lucky we are, really, in the Western world.
Well, this is it. I mean, the thing is, on the Doggo Express in Turkey, I think that was about 18 hours. That one was the Doggo Express. They had both toilets. They had the stand-up one and the normal toilet.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Was that for ladies as well? Surely not.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, women were going in and out. Women are going in and out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Goodness. Because I mean, just describe it, Ken. Describe it if the viewer's not eating their breakfast.
Just hideous. It's on tonight's video on one of the trains, wherever it was I was going from to. I think it was from Nanning to Kunming in China. And I actually went into the toilet and said, "How does this work? How does this toilet work?" They all was about that big. I thought, I'm going to have to get a stick and push it down. You know what I mean? It's just... And you're on a train, so you're going backwards and forwards, side to side, it's going to end up everywhere.
Well, I tell you
So,
what, if you've got vertigo, you're really in trouble.
absolutely. I mean, thank God for Imodium. That's all, because that's when I've been doing these trains. And I leave the hotel, Imodium. That's it, Imodium. I'll be all
Or
right for
not
the rest
knowing
of the
what's
day.
on the menu, Ken, because if you chose a
Exactly.
nice spicy dish, it prepares you for the journey the day after, doesn't it?
I have no idea what meat I've eaten, Cathy. I have no idea if I've eaten seagull, if I've eaten dog, cat, horse, what I've eaten. I've no idea. It's covered in noodles and it's covered in sauce. I haven't got a clue what I've eaten.
And again, what you're highlighting is your daily challenges. Some people might have one terrible train journey, and even just going from Blackpool North, for example, to Preston, where I live, that can be considered a terrible train journey if there's some
Hideous.
issue. But
Yeah.
what you're experiencing today is almost just showing you and highlighting just how blessed we are over in
Well,
Western culture. Yeah, would you agree?
well, out of all the trains, I must have done 30, 40 trains since I left the UK, easy. And even the rough trains, Bulgaria, Romania, Germany, Tbilisi, Georgia, out of the 30, 40 trains I've been on, not one has been delayed. Not one arrived late.
Wow.
Not one train. That shower of shite in England. Not one was delayed. Not one. Honestly, they run to the exact minute. The only
Goodness.
train out of this journey that was late was St Pancras to Paris. That was an hour late.
Wow. Wow.
Honestly, it's
So,
unbelievable. The train system in the UK, even even the shitty Turkish sleeper trains, they're all bang on time.
wow, that's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
That's
I've got the train
incredible.
from Blackpool to Scarborough. Oh, it's cancelled. What's it
Yeah.
cancelled?
Yeah.
Oh, they're on strike. Oh, don't get me going on that one
Or
either.
there's a
That's
sheep
another
on the line.
podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Honestly, anything for any excuse. So the train system, out of even the countries I've been in, not
Yeah.
one has been delayed.
So if you hear the toilets weren't flushing, you can say, hang on a minute,
Yeah, yeah,
after
exactly.
what I've gone through. But
Yeah,
also, how lucky you are, Ken, to be on these travel journeys, if you like, and be able to think, how blessed you are when you get back home is the point of this, because these experiences do make you have gratitude, the gratitude diary, if you like, at the end of the day. As much as you're going through these experiences, they are short-lived, but their purpose is a brilliant charity, which is Brian House, for children at the end of that journey. And when you do come back, the comforts that we are so privileged and blessed to have, because anybody watching this globally, there's going to be people from all over the world thinking, well, that's how I live, this is my culture.
yeah.
But as you say, the benefits is what you're saying, comparative to the Western world, are people cuddle up. People literally are in close proximity, so we've got the human contact, which is, I think, a good thing, because in the last 4 years we've all been divided, Ken, and I think it's quite nice to have
Absolutely.
a sense of community. So we are sharing in close proximity our space with others, but as you quite rightly said, when you come from a world that's so different to that can be quite daunting. And the second thing is, you've said yourself, you've met the most incredible, gracious, grateful people. So tell us a bit about the people that you've met, Ken, on your travels, and about the
Um,
gentleman that gave you some £20 as well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when I got to Beijing railway station, uh, and none of the ATMs are working. No ATM because they don't have, for some reason, they don't have ATMs. Everything there has to go through one called Alipay. They don't really take cards. Everything's got to go through. So they know what you're spending, what you're not spending,
Yeah.
etc., etc. So there was no ATM machines, and I'm stuck. And I'm like, I need to get a taxi, and I've got no money. And this guy came up and he just said, "What's your problem?" I said, "Well, this is a." He said, "Here," and he gave me £20. I said, "I can't accept your money." He said, "No." He said, "That's what we do in China. We help people." You know, lovely man.
Wow.
But then I was in McDonald's getting some Wi-Fi. Then these two old knackers women came in and they started talking to me and chatting to me. And I thought, this is weird because one of them came in with a bottle, her own bottle of water, and the other one would come in with just a bottle of water. And I'm sat there just having a coffee, and they started, "Oh, hello, where you from?" Blah 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 blah. I thought, something not right here. This something not right.
Really?
Yeah. I thought, now this is a bit strange. Yeah. Oh, hello. And they're asking me loads of questions, where I'm going, what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you come and see a live show. Come and see a live show. I said, no, I said, I don't really want to go see a live show, thanks. I said, I'm going to go into the market. I'm going to do, oh, you come and see a live show. I said, you're getting on my tits now. I'm not coming to see a live show. So got me rucksack on Warwick, because I call it Warwick, because it's like carrying Warwick Davis around with me everywhere. And I went to another coffee shop and I'm Googling, scams in China. And it was saying British people can often be approached by really friendly people asking you to go to a bar or asking you to see a show. And you get there and they rip you off. So I thought, yeah, 1-0. So I was pleased with that.
Wow.
So then when I was on the train from Nanning to Kunming, I'm sat down and this lad got on with his dad. And he said, oh, hello, where are you from? I said, oh, I'm from England. I said, oh, and he came to sit next to me, this young lad, and I thought, what's going on here? Not another scam. Oh, and I want to learn English. I want to do it. I said, right, okay. And his dad was there, and his dad worked for the government. And I thought, are these genuine people? And in the end, I spent 4.5 hours, and he was a really nice lad. He was studying English. He wanted some help with his exams. He'd been doing these exams. So he said, can you help me with my English? I said, yeah, okay. So we spent 4.5 hours chatting pigeon English. And he said, well, will you read this out to me? So I read it out to him. And so I helped him with his exam papers. He said, I need to know some slang. So I taught him.
Oh, he's come to the right man. He might fail his exams, Ken, but my goodness, he's gonna get top marks.
I said, I'll teach you some words that I said, yeah. And he was on about. He said, what you call gay people in England. I said, oh, Willy Woofter is my favourite because I've got a lot of gay friends. I've got loads of gay, and I call them Willy Woofters. It's a term of endearment and not a term of taking the mickey. So he said, Willy Woofter. My dad here, Willy Woofter. So he loved the word Willy Woofter.
Oh.
So yeah, really nice lad, and he's going to Leeds in September. So I said, we'll hook up and we'll go out for some food. So yeah, really nice person, really nice.
Fantastic. So you've made some good connections. What happened to you when this gentleman gave you £20? What was the interaction, Ken? You'd come out of a train station, is that right?
Yeah. And I went to customer service and said, none of your ATMs are working. None of them are working. I need some money. You don't take cards. You don't take, I can't get any cash. And this guy just walked up to me and he said, look, here's some cash that I'll get a taxi to your hotel. When you get to your hotel, download an app called Didi and download Alipay. So when I got to the hotel and I got on the Wi-Fi, I downloaded Didi, which is like our Uber, basically.
Yes.
So it's our Uber. You put your card in and you're off. So that sorted me out with the taxis. Alipay sorted me out with paying for stuff, really.
So it's done through an app, is what you're saying, is it's done through an app. And if it wasn't for this sort of gentleman appearing at your side, isn't it funny, Ken, how in times of distress, God, spirit, whatever your beliefs are, somebody appears to to help you. I just think that's incredible. And I think that was meant to be, because not only did he give you some money for literally short change to get back to where you needed to be, he also gave you a long-term opportunity of understanding that because you're jumping from train to train and it's an adventure, you haven't done your logistic planning and what's going to happen when I get there, which I love. I mean, that's an enormous challenge in itself. You literally are just living the experience, aren't you? You've no idea.
Everything's a challenge. Everything. I thought when I got to China, there'd be ATM machines like there are everywhere in the world. There are ATM machines wherever you go, not in China. I thought, brilliant, I'll have super fast broadband when I get to China.
Yeah.
And I was wrong on every level.
Wow.
Every level, So it was like, right, I've got no Wi-Fi. I've got no money. I've got no ATM. You know, and then you get to another country. You know, whether it be Georgia. You know, Georgia again. We don't take cards in the taxis. I'm used to Uber, or
Yeah.
I'm used to paying with my card in a taxi. No, cash only, cash only. Right, so you go to the exchange in the train station. Oh no, you can't take money out with your card. We just exchange foreign currency. Oh, everything is a challenge. Everything is a challenge. It's like now, tonight, I'm going to go out and get some food. Again, Vietnamese food. What is it? I've no idea what it is. You know, I'll just have that and see what it is. And if I like it, I like it. As long as it's not got coriander and marzipan in it, I'll be all right. 7-Elevens, 7-Elevens are the heaven. If you see a 7-Eleven sign anywhere,
Yeah, you run.
that you just 7-Eleven. They're like one-stop shops on speed. There's everything you want, from ham and cheese toasties to chicken feet. There's
Oh.
everything you want. So if there's nothing in any of the there's nothing I fancy in any of the shops and then the restaurants, then I'll find a 7-Eleven.
You'll go to 7-Eleven. And can I just say, as much as you're telling us, and you're going to tell us the price of tonight's hotel, it does look like you're in the Ritz. I have to say, you've got a beautiful backdrop there, Ken. It does look really inviting, but you just share with us how much tonight's hotel costs and where you are.
Change the R to a P. It's not the Ritz. Tonight I paid £25. To be honest, Cathy, it's 25 quid. Where are you going to get a hotel in the UK for 25 quid?
Yeah.
It's got a shower, it's got a sink, it's got a toilet, it's got a double bed, it's got Wi-Fi, it's got a telly.
Wow.
It's 25 quid, you know. I mean, the one, was it last night or the night before, was £7.95.
Wow.
£7.95. And the one last night was 15 quid. And it had a bath in the bedroom as well as a shower.
Wow.
So if you pick it right, I mean, I picked some proper shitholes. If you pick it right, you know, I mean,
are you sure it was a bath, Ken? Just reflecting back on what you said about the train.
Well, the thing was, it was like on the bedside cabinet, there was 2 condoms in a packet.
Wow.
What's all that about?
That's hopeful, Ken. That's more than an adventure. That's a.
Isn't it just? Isn't it just? So yeah.
Maybe, Ken, maybe it was those 2 ladies who'd sort out where you were.
Oh, they were proper fat knackers they were anyway.
Another challenge,
that would be a challenge. That would be a challenge. So yeah, I mean the hotels. I have stayed in some grotty, horrible. It's not just the hotels as well; it's the areas that they're in.
Yeah,
you know, it's the area. When the taxi driver dropped me off at the £7.95 hotel, it was just in the grottiest, seediest, most horrible area you could possibly imagine. It was horrible. I think it's on tonight's video that I'll be uploading tonight. I think it's on that one.
Wow.
But I've been to that many hotels, Cathy. I've been on that many trains. I've been to that many countries. They all blur into one at the end of the day.
That's incredible. I mean, the most important thing is your passion, and you're obviously a fearless person as well. And where does that come from, Ken? Because not everybody would do what you're doing and take those challenges. Most of us would have booked some nice hotels en route and sort of had a bit of a pre-plan. Has there been any planning at all for this? And when do you expect to get to Australia? Or is it if you get to Australia?
I've planned nothing. I just do it. I mean, it's really strange because when I was married for 20 odd years. I got the confidence to get on stage in front of thousands of people. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. Doesn't bother me. But to walk into a pub first, or to walk into a restaurant first, well out of my comfort zone. Well out of my comfort zone. Honestly, I did not have confidence to do that in the slightest. I would always ask the wife to go in first. I didn't have the confidence to walk into a pub first or to walk into a restaurant first. Didn't have the confidence to actually talk to people on stage. When I come off stage, yeah, Mr. Confident, yeah, no problem. Going on stage, yeah, no problem. Off stage, very, very introverted, very introverted. So when I got on that train at St Pancras, my life changed big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Having to go into restaurants on my own, sitting down on my own. All right, I'm vlogging everything, I'm filming everything. But yeah, my confidence has really, really grown since I set off on the 22nd of January. Big time.
That's incredible. So, I mean, this is what the wisdom of this channel is, sharing opportunities like this. Don't wait till it's too late. You are literally seeing the world. You are taking yourself on an adventure with a wonderful, heartfelt purpose behind it, a mission to help those, incredible children at Bryan House. But on top of that, you are actually unpacking some of your own, character issues and fears. You are literally facing challenges on a daily basis, and it's quite a lonely journey, I would imagine, as well. Would you agree with me?
Well, I don't get somebody else has asked me that. I did an interview for an Australian radio station. Is it lonely? No, it really.
Wow.
I don't get lonely at all.
Wow.
Because like when I get to bed, there's always somebody ringing me or texting me or messaging me. So
Or
I'm
next to
sort of
you
in
or above
conversation.
you. When you get into bed, there's somebody next to you.
I've got Thailand to come yet, so we'll see what happens there. But no, I don't get lonely because, like I say, there's always somebody messaging me or texting me, or I've got some editing to do, I've got some uploading to do, or I've got some exploring to do. So I've never really got 5 minutes where I go, oh, even on that godforsaken cattle truck that I was on yesterday, I was just sat there for 6.5 hours, just looking around, just looking at people, looking out
Observing.
the window.
And
Thinking,
what have you
what do you do?
observed, Ken? What have you observed? Because that's really important on this journey. And that's why I wanted to film you today whilst you're in Vietnam. What have you observed in your travels that's so different to our culture, perhaps?
A man in some wooden shoes today. Oh, ridiculous. He had
It might catch on.
It was like, they were like flip-flops where your big toe goes in between the pieces of rubber. But
oh, hang on, Ken.
Like,
Ken. You've just pressed a button and balloons have appeared, but we can keep it in because it looked like a celebration.
a celebration of wooden shoes. And I really wanted to film it. Because they were the most ridiculous shoes I've ever seen in my life. It was pieces of wood. It was bits of wood on his feet. You could hear him clomping, clip, clop. I thought, what's that behind me? Fucking horse behind me. It's doing clip, clop, clip, clop, clip. And he turned up in these shoes. I really wanted to film him and say, I bet you didn't get them from Sports Direct. They look like trainers from Temu. You know what I mean? I've learned that they've got no idea on what to wear on the feet of a Vietnam.
Well, perhaps it's because they know what the toilets are, Ken. There's a lot more protection than a nice plastic sandal.
Well, you got these shitty toilets on Chinese trains, but when you get to the Chinese hotel, you lift the lid, it flushes itself. You sit down, the seat is warm.
And
you
a
put the
bidet.
lid back down, it flushes itself. It's like, we haven't got those in the UK.
Yeah.
The really modern toilets with like a blue light that comes on and disinfects it and everything.
It flushes it as soon as you sit down. It flushes, doesn't it?
yeah. It's like, oh, hello, what's that? So, yeah. I mean, I've learned a lot about different cultures and different people and how friendly the Chinese were. That's really, really nice, lovely people.
Wow.
But the regime.
Yeah.
Passport everywhere, fingerprints everywhere. Even getting a SIM card to put in my phone, you have to have your photograph taken, your fingerprints taken. I'm getting a SIM card.
Yeah.
Identification. Changing money, photograph taken. Everywhere you go, there's cameras everywhere. You must feel, I don't know.
You're in the Big Brother house, quite literally, isn't it? Big Brother house.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Oh, big time.
And we don't want that where we are, do we? We don't want that.
Will it
Yeah,
happen? That's the question.
I know. And will you get to Australia is what we're all thinking today. And
God
I
knows.
hope so. I hope
Well,
so. What's your mission? We really, really encourage you to get to Australia. And what's your timescale of getting to Australia, Ken?
I don't have a time scale. Nothing planned. Get there when I get there. Get there when I get there. I mean, tomorrow I go to Da Nang because I want to go see that bridge that's been held up with a load of hands and stuff. I want to see that. And then I want to go to Cambodia. And
Yeah.
then from Cambodia over to Thailand, where I'm meeting a friend of mine, Tony, who lives in Thailand. Spend a couple of days with Tony. Then down to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, down to Bali. Then when I get to Bali, try and organise a cargo ship to get to Australia.
Wow. Wow. So rough time scale for me there, Ken. So we're in end of February now. By the time this airs, it might be a little further ahead, but rough time scale for arrival.
I would like to sort of say that I will be in Australia 3 weeks from
Oh,
now.
so okay. I was imagining later. So you need to be back for April for your stage show. Is that right?
Yes, I've got to be back for April for the Pleasure Beach. Yes.
Okay. So we're hoping that the path runs more smoothly. Have you done the hardest leg of the journey, do you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think because it was working out what route to take. That
Yeah.
was my idea at the beginning was to do the Trans-Siberian train across Russia to Vladivostok and straight down. But there's something kicking off in Russia, so we're not welcome in Russia. I couldn't go to Russia. And then I thought, right, okay, I'll go through India, through Pakistan, through India. But then you've got to get over Burma to get into China. How am I going to do this? And then I thought, right, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan to China. And then that's the way I've taken it.
My goodness. And how did you plan this route? So just rewinding slightly, how did you actually sit down and plan it after you'd drunk the other half of the bottle of Jack Daniels and just to after reading all your Facebook encouragement, drowning your sorrows in what you'd said you were going to do. How did you then sit down genuinely and masterfully and master a plan?
I got a map and I put red dots on countries that I can't visit. I put green dots on countries that I can visit. And I did that and then lost my map. Lost it in Germany, I think it was. Oh,
You
bollocks.
didn't.
Yeah, I lost my
No.
map. Luckily, I'd videoed it. So then I have to keep going on the video, pausing it, right, where am I now? But now I've just been downloading maps off the internet. So, right, where am I now? Middle Asia, right, I'll download Middle Asia, right, where do I go now? Right, now I'm in Southern Asia, where do I go now? Now I'm in. So that's what I've been doing. Excuse me, just downloading maps and working it out from there.
And just tell us, before we go back in time and hear a bit about you yourself, Ken, I want to hear about you said there was a potential of ending up in jail. Tell us, can you share that? What happened in a taxi? Because you were stuck.
Oh, yeah, trying to get over the border. Tbilisi, was it Tbilisi? In Tobacco. And they closed the land borders. And taxi driver said, "Oh, he said, I'd take you over for £200." So, well, how are you going to do that? You'll go in boot. What? Get in the boot of a car? Give me 200 quid, get in the boot of a car? Not a chance. Yeah, I mean, that could have been. I mean, the thing is, when you go into these countries, I mean, I love Banged Up Abroad. I don't know whether you've ever watched
Yes,
Banged
I
Up
have seen
Abroad.
that. Yeah.
And I stand at customs and my heart's going. Even though I know I've done absolutely nothing wrong and I know I've done nothing, especially China. China was so dodgy because I had to sort out this 10-day transit visa, which allows you to enter at certain ports and leave at certain ports.
Yeah.
But oh, what's this? What? I'm here on a transit visa, and your heart's beating like mad. When you're going into Vietnam, on the trains, when you take where was it? Was it going? I think it was Germany, Austria, I think, to Poland. I can't remember now. But they take your passport off you, and you're like, "You got my passport. You've got my passport," and your heart's beat. And when they stamp it, you're like, "Oh." What a feeling of relief when you've got that stamp on your passport.
So this is like doing a stand-up gig, isn't it? Basically, you've got that surge of adrenaline. You don't know your
Yeah.
audience. You don't know where you're going through each passage
Yeah.
of, and then you've got the relief at the end when the audience applause or when you get the stamp on
Yeah.
your passport.
Yeah.
So it really is
Yeah.
like an adrenaline surge.
I must have lost 1.5 stone in weight with just adrenaline alone.
I was just going to say, it really is. And what's interesting, you were saying you don't know your path ahead. My partner, Mark Singleton, he said to me, but you know, does he not know what's ahead considering his job? I said, Ken Webster's a hypnotist, not a mind reader.
Exactly. Exactly. I have no idea what's around the corner. I just sort of get to the corner, look around it, see if it's all right, and then go round it. That's what I do.
And so there's quite a journey ahead for you to get to Australia. And are you going to put like a flag down? Have you got something that you want to do or is there a particular area that you are specifically trying to head towards, Ken?
I just wherever I get to Australia, whatever port I land in, I land in. I've got a friend who lives in New Zealand. He's coming over to meet me in Australia, so I'll have a few days in Australia. Then I'm going to buy my ticket to get home because I'm flying home, and then I'm going to try and blag business class because I'm going to say, look, I've got here without flying. You know, I'm vlogging it. It's for poorly children. Can you please let me have business class? That's what I'm going to attempt to
£200
do.
and you can get in the boot, Ken.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And
so we'll see.
What we might see ahead is a movie of you, like the Tom Hanks movie with the rugby ball or the football as with eyes on, and you might be just doing like a little backstroke as you know get yourself onto the island.
Yeah, well, I've got Warwick with me. Warwick's been my best friend. He's been my best mate as Warwick. We sit there. How's your day been, Warwick?
That's what I mean. Yeah. So that's your sort of companion all the way through, which is brilliant.
Warwick,
And so what I want to do now, with your permission, Ken, is go back in time a little bit and back to whereabouts were you born, just in case anybody hasn't heard of you. Obviously, 37 years as one of the leading UK hypnotists. And what's your backstory there, Ken? Well, parents' names and where were you born?
Well, I've actually been doing the actual show since I was 18, so I've been doing it 43 years altogether.
Wow.
I was born in Scarborough. My dad was a scrap metal merchant, and my mum ran the business as well. I lost my mum 3 years ago. She was 89. I lost my dad 2 years ago. He was 100. So he did all right, my dad. He waited till he got that telegram from the King for me to granddaughter, and then he thought, that's it, I've had enough, I'm off. And that's exactly what he did.
That's great genetics, Ken, for you.
Yeah, right. So, and then I went to school, and then I saw a hypnotist when I was about 9 years old, a guy called Robert Halpin at the Opera House in Scarborough. And I thought, oh, is that work? Putting people to sleep and making them do all that. I want to do that when I leave school. Yeah. So I did. That was it. I left school. I studied. I did 4 years altogether. I did psychology. I did psychology, psychiatry, NLP. I did all the medical side of it for smoking, weight loss, etc. And then I went to Spain in 1986 for 2 weeks holiday, and I didn't come home for 3 years. So somebody said to me, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a hypnotist. Do you do it on the stage? I said, well, no, not yet. That's what I want to do. So why don't you come up to my bar? It was a guy called Bob. It was the Golfers in Torremolinos. He said, why don't you come up to my bar and do a show? So, well, I've never done one before. He said, you'll be all right. I said, all right then. So I went on stage and did a show. And there was a guy in there called Vinny who ran the Bulldog in Caruela. He said, that was good. Will you come and do me a show? Yeah, all right. Bob said, will you do me Mondays and Wednesdays? And Vinny says, will you do me Tuesdays and Thursdays? Yeah, all right. So I did a show in the Bulldog. It went very well. And then there was a guy called Percy who ran the Elefanti in the Bonanza. I said, will you come along and do me a show? Yeah, all right. And that was it. I was working 7 nights a week for about a year. And then I stayed out there. And then I did the Bulldog again. I did the Golfers Inn again. And then a guy called Ken said, will you come and do the Bonanza bar for me in Bonanza Square? So I said, yeah. And that's what I did for 3 years out in Spain. And then I came back to the UK. And being in Scarborough, there was a theatre, the Royal Opera House Theatre in Scarborough, and they'd always had hypnotists on for years. And it had been taken over by a guy called Peter J. Peter used to be in a group called Peter J and the Jaywalkers,
Yes.
an old 60s group.
Yeah.
And I made an appointment to see him. The guy, Glenn Hansford, was the manager at the time. And I said, right, I said, I'm a hypnotist. I want to do the summer season. He said, you'll have to speak to Peter J. He's in on Wednesday or whatever day it was. So I said, right, I'll be here at Wednesday at 2:00. Yeah, okay. So I suited and booted, went down, saw Glenn. I said, I'm here to see Peter J. He said, oh, he's in there. He's in the bar in there with his bank manager. I don't know how long he's going to be. I said, well, I've got an appointment at 2:00 and it's 2:00. He said, yeah, but I don't know how long he's going to be. You might have to come back tomorrow. I said, I won't. He said, well,
Yeah, you're
you
not
might have
fizzy
to.
out of Bugsy Malone, are you?
He said, well, I'm not coming back tomorrow. I said, I'm here at 2:00.
Yeah.
So anyway, I walked into Rosie O'Grady's at the side of the Opera House.
Oh, yeah.
Peter was sat in a little snug. There was 2 chairs and a table in the middle on the left-hand side. I said, are you Peter J? He said, yeah. I said, well, I'm Ken Webster. I said, I've got an appointment to see you at 2:00. He said, well, I don't know how long I'm going to be. I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll sit over there and I'll get myself a Coke and I'll sit there all day if I have to because I've got a meeting with you. Right. Oh, okay. So anyway, about an hour later, his bank manager, whoever it was, went straight down. Peter, Ken Webster, pleased to meet you. I said, unbelievable. I said, what do you mean unbelievable? He said, you cheeky bastard. I said, we're not getting off to a very good start here, Peter, are we? We had an appointment at 2:00. I'm here. I want to sell myself to you. He said, right, you've got 5 minutes. So I said, right, I'm Ken Webster. I'm a hypnotist. I'm from Scarborough, yada, 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 yada. He went, well, I've got to give you a chance, haven't I? I said, well, yeah, you have, really. I said, give me a chance and I'll prove to you that I'll fill this theatre. He said, you won't fill it. He said, the hypnotist hasn't filled his theatre for the past 3 years. I said, I'll fill it. Right, okay. So he gave me a date. Cut a long story short, he gave me a date. Myself and my friend Bubba at the time went round Scarborough, putting posters up everywhere and all the rest of it. And it held 950 people, did the Opera House, and I got 890 in on my first night. So Peter J was there, and I did the show, and I came off. Right. I want every Wednesday, I want every Saturday. I said, hang on a minute. I said, I've not agreed to do it. What do you mean you've not agreed to do it? I said, we need to talk business.
Yeah, I'll meet you tomorrow at 2:00.
And Peter gave me the full summer season. He gave me the Royalty Theatre in Great Yarmouth, which was another one of his theatres. The first show I did, we got 60 people in a 1,250 seat theatre. 60 people. I said, don't worry, we'll build it. Next week, we got 250 people in. The week after, I got a friend of mine called Ratman and Robin. And what he used to do was put rats down his trousers, and he used to eat giant cockroaches. Before I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here. He used to do all that. Well, I rang the RSPCA anonymously, and I said, look, this Ken Webster, this hypnotist, he's got a bloke on there who bites the heads off live birds and eats cockroaches.
Not for real.
RSPCA were down there. No. RSPCA were down there with placards and all sorts. I rang the press guy called George through a Yarmouth advertiser and said, George, get yourself down the Royalty Theatre. Ken Webster's got this act on. Went down there with reporters, front page, hypnotist at the Royalty Theatre House. We got 900 people in. 900 people.
Well done.
And Michael Barrymore was doing the summer season. Michael, so I got on really, really well with Michael Barrymore. I will not hear a bad word against that man.
Yeah.
And he said, we're doing a midnight matinee. He said, you should go on last. You should headline it. I said, oh, come on, Michael, have a word. And Peter J said, Michael, and Jim Davidson, actually, have said, you finished the night off. I said, right, okay. And I went on at like 4:00 in the morning. And after that, 1,250 people in for the rest of the season. And I did 9 years at the Royalty Theatre. After the first year, Peter said, I'm going to get you in at the Pleasure Beach. He said, you'll be all right there for at least a couple of years. I said, all right, Peter. And I have my entire career. I have Peter J to thank for my entire career, because that man got me the Royalty, the Opera House, and more importantly, he got me the Horseshoe and the Pleasure Beach. Peter J, Jeffrey Thompson are 2 people that I have to thank for my career.
That's incredible. And what about his bank manager? Perhaps he was pleased. Perhaps he was pleased once he'd employed you.
Absolutely. So yeah, Peter J and his wife Christine, they saw something in me,
Yeah.
And Amanda Thompson as well. Amanda Thompson, she stayed loyal to me for the past 37 years.
That's incredible. And it
Yeah.
does take courage. I mean, what you've just highlighted there about the entertainment world is that it does take absolute courage. It's interesting you said that you're shy underneath, but confident on your exterior. But you have just done something that so few people would have done. You have just stood your ground, and in doing so, reap the rewards, Ken. But
Yeah.
you also could,
Yeah.
it wasn't just a case of showmanship. You also had the tools of the trade to do so as well. And I want to know, just rewinding slightly, how did you learn? I know you said, did you go to Dr. Richard Bandler? Because I've done NLP with Dr. Richard Bandler, and he's actually in my book. So Dr. Bandler, who apparently he doesn't agree to go in anybody's books, but I think he sort of took pity on this poor soul being so poorly. And I was told that my condition ME was all psychosomatic, and so I did everything I could, because I love psychology like yourself. I did everything I could, training in therapy and everything, to beat this so-called psychosomatic condition, which we now know is not true, and the NICE guidelines have been changed. So my venture, Ken, was to go to Parliament. I got the ex-Defence Minister, Mr. Wallace, to come to my home, and I fought to help alongside others to change the NICE guidelines for my condition, and it's now physical. So that's my story. Which is called The Truth About Me. And the idea, I just thought, and with long COVID diagnosis, some call it long COVID /ME, very similar symptomology overlapping. And of course, because of that, I just thought, like your good self, my mission is to help save lives. And that's the purpose of this channel. My mission is to help save lives ahead, very similar to what your mission is. Slightly less scary for me because I've only got a house here. But I have to say, in the very early stages, just being able to climb the stairs was impossible. So I'm very, very lucky to be alive. I had carbon monoxide poisoning, various other toxic, highly toxic poisons, and was bedbound 11 years ago. So I've had to learn to walk and talk again. And I'm sure you agree, as an artist, losing your voice was the hardest bit, and losing my laugh for 2 years was even harder.
Absolutely.
Because I couldn't do anything. So I'm in blackout curtains. I couldn't turn my head on a pillow just overnight. So I'd just done a gig. Journey. So that's my personal story, just to share with yourself. But the mission thanks so much, Ken. But the mission ahead, because I'm a comedian, thank goodness, I saw the comedy in it. So that's my personal story. But most important, my heart goes to people like you who are on, brilliant missions as you are today. And I think that's so encouraging to everybody that's listening and tuning in, because we only have one life. Life is very short.
Absolutely.
Would you agree with that, Ken? Yeah,
I mean, I'm 61. And carting Warwick Davis around on my back could be a bit tiring, Doesn't matter what age you are. Age is just a number. This is hard work. It's brutal, it is. But, if anybody's got any, it's like when I did the 42-mile bike ride, not last year before, pancreatic cancer. I'd never been on a bike since I was about 17. And I just got straight on it, and I was absolutely knackered. It took me 7.5 hours. But hey, you put your mind to anything, Cathy, and as you've proved, you can do it. You put your mind to anything, you can do it.
So many people now are affected globally by conditions that overlap with mine. I just thought, what can I do to pay it forward in my limitations? And so setting up the podcast last year and having all you great guests in the fields of entertainment and health, sharing your journeys, it just shows, it reunites the community, puts the commune back into community, which was my purpose of this show. But it also reunites us all in a celebration of all of your lives and your achievements, and certainly your current mission as well. But yeah, anything is possible. I mean, I cycled from Guildford, Woking, to Brighton, which is in my book. So that's the sort of physical level, and that's high, that's high choppy.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And right at the end, Ken, somebody, would you believe it, for a joke, grabbed my pannier, pulled me backwards, and that was my dismount. not the finish I wanted. My dream, like your dream, is to reach Oz. My dream is ultimately to be able to get back on that bike again, because we can't exercise or do a lot.
Yeah.
It's like a flat battery. However, this to me is an achievement because I couldn't see and I couldn't speak. So how brilliant to get
Wow.
this far. So
Well done. Well
oh,
done,
thanks,
Cathy. Well
Ken.
done.
All
That's
credit to
brilliant.
Dr. Perrin, all credit to the magic man that
Brilliant.
saved me. But on that journey, I met Dr. Richard Bandler in person. And at the time,
Yeah.
I said to him, can you magic me and hypnotize me and get me better? And he said, I can't make you physically better from a physical condition. We now know that absolutely that's impossible. And the worst thing that you should do is exercise with this condition. You need to rest, you need to detox, and you need to heal in different ways, basically. But Dr. Perrin's treatment, the Perrin technique, has saved my life. So that's when I met Dr. Richard Bandler. And I'm just asking, did you meet him or did you do an NLP course elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, originally, years ago, it was Bandler and Grinder. There was
Yes.
two of them.
Yeah,
Frogs into Princes, transformations, and all that sort of stuff.
that's
Yeah, I
it.
mean, I did quite a bit of NLP. There's Gestalt therapy as well for its pearls.
Yes.
So yeah. I mean, I did all that. I did Gestalt therapy. I did NLP. I did hypnotherapy. I draw the line at Sigmund Freud. I draw the line at all that old bollocks.
Where's next, Ken, for you?
But from here,
Yeah.
Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, Bali, and then that's the end of the land. Then, if you know what I mean.
And did you say that you had to use an aeroplane because of the circumstances you were in at one
I
point?
had to do a 1 hour flight,
Yeah.
because Baku you couldn't get in through. There's that much misinformation on the internet. There's
Yeah.
so much misinformation.
Yeah.
That's why we've got so many conspiracy theorists now, because of the misinformation and people going down rabbit holes on the internet. And it's true. So many conspiracy theories now because there's that much BS on the internet. You know, you go on the internet, it's like, right, I want a train from Tbilisi to Baku. Yeah, no problem at all. Oh, right, brilliant. So you think, right, that's sorted. Comes to book it. Oh no, you start delving and going down rabbit holes. All the land borders to Baku were closed. You couldn't get into Baku, which is Azerbaijan, by land. You weren't allowed. They were blocked. They were locked. And the only other way would be India, Pakistan. Which would mean going through Turkmenistan, which is proper dodgy. Something else landing in Stan, which is even more dodgy, and something else landing in Stan, which is even dodgier than the two Stans previous. So I'm like, I had no choice, absolutely no choice. I had to jump on a plane and just get over the border. Yeah, my idea was to do Azerbaijan to Baku across the Caspian Sea on a cargo ferry. That was the idea,
Yeah.
to go over by boat.
Yeah.
That's what I had planned because that's what the internet told me I could do, until you actually get here and you find out, no, there isn't a train. Actually, you can't get into Baku. It's closed. It's locked. So I was like, well, what do I do? So that is the unfortunate. It was about an hour flight, and that's what I did. So it's not as if I was flying to. I had to do it. Or I could have been smuggled over the border for 200 quid.
Yeah. And
And
never
I
seen
thought,
again.
exactly. I'm not. You've been smuggled over the border in a boot of a car of a
Yeah.
taxi driver for 200 quid. Or do I take an hour flight? Sorry, I'm just going to take an hour flight just to get over that border.
But that boot of the car did have a little bit more space than that train that you're in with 3 other men.
Tell me about it.
It was a bit more. You could roll over in there.
Tell me about it. It was just, but there you go.
And
So I managed to do it here.
You did it, and you've got this far, which is incredible. Now, my uncle Bill Higginson, I'm going to give him a shout out because he never pre-plans his journeys abroad. So a bit like your mission, he has his backpack as well. He arrives in said country, and then his mission is to find a hotel. Now, are you doing that, or have you got like a little list of potential places to stay, organized? No.
I get to the train station. I look around. Are there any hotels? No. Right. Google. Right. Nearest hotel to me. Right. Taxi. Take me there.
And financially, Ken, have you sort of been saving up for this adventure for yourself? Is this like a big holiday opportunity, or have you got enough finances in case, you know, something goes wrong?
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't been, I didn't save up specifically for this trip. It has worked out a little bit more expensive than I planned.
Yeah.
But once it starts monetizing, you know, I've kept every single receipt from a bottle of water to, you know, a SIM card. I've kept every receipt, you know, I will take what I've spent out,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, so, and then the rest will go to Brian House, you know, and what I will do is I'll make the earnings public so that,
Yes.
you know, people can say, oh, right, okay, he's earned that, so that I'm completely transparent,
Yeah.
you
And
know.
people need to
So
hear this. People need to hear this, Ken, because this is not just, as you said quite rightly, so on your return flight, which is going to be luxurious. This is not you going into a 5-star hotel. This is a mission with fear, literally, trepidation. You're challenging your own confidence, even though we see you as this incredibly confident act, incredibly funny front man. Actually, underneath, you're challenging some of your demons, if you like, that have always been there underneath, and you're meeting new faces. You're understanding and learning the culture. You're so grateful, though, aren't you, in your own mind's eye and your blogs, for what luxuries, if you like, that we do have on a day-to-day basis in the Western culture, because of what you're unveiling and your mission today. So again, just take us through a little bit more about that, and what is the most frightening thing that you are doing, Ken?
I mean, the scariest thing, I suppose, when you get off at a train station at 2 o'clock in the morning and there's nobody there. It's just me on the train station. And you're like, where do I go? Nobody speaks English. There's no signs anywhere. What do I do? And so then I just start walking until I see some headlights and hope it's a taxi, or I see some lights and hope it's a hotel. That could be. It was a bit scary. Was it last night? I think it was last night in. Oh, where he was in China, wasn't it? Like in
Yes.
Heko, was it Heko and now, yeah, Heko. Um, and the taxi driver dropped me off at the hotel, and there was nobody there to check me in. I'm like, this is till midnight. Nobody there to check me in, and I was in a proper rough area, Vecchio. What am I going to do now? So me and Warwick walked up the road, and of course, with it being China, I don't know what hotel looks like in Chinese. If it was German or Spanish or French, you could sort of work it out. But these are just
Right.
squiggles. So I'm like, what does that mean over there? Right, okay. And so I walked for about 20 minutes or so, and I saw there's a load of lights on there. That's got to be a hotel, and it was, luckily. And so I checked in. So the trepidation of wandering around the streets in a foreign country can be quite daunting.
Yeah.
You know, it can be quite scary. Uh, so yeah, there are scary moments
Yeah.
that come out. I mean, the first thing I do before I go to a country is I Google, is it safe to go to such and such a country? You know, it's like, what's the crime rate there? I
Yeah.
think the scariest country, I'll be honest, has been Romania. That wasn't nice, Romania. You know, because there was a lot of Romanian gypsies kicking about everywhere, and I don't know, I felt a bit uneasy.
And have you got a little rape alarm in Warwick in your backpack?
No, no, I haven't. I'm afraid I haven't. No.
They were
No,
available in the 90s. I think I've still got mine somewhere. You never
I
used
know,
them. The last thing you
I
did was
know.
press that.
All I've got is a pair of chopsticks. That's all I've got to be in a pocket.
But I
But
was
yeah,
going
that
to
can be a bit
say, I
scary.
mean, being a hypnotist, this is a skill. Can you, if you were attacked, and this is hypothetical and it's not going to happen, can you put somebody under? Because I've seen you do this, obviously, but could you, in self-defense, do this?
No,
Here's a good question that I hope no one else has ever asked you.
no, you couldn't do that. No,
You
no, you couldn't
couldn't.
do it. No, no. For a start, I don't know what the Chinese word for sleep is. I don't know what the Vietnamese word for sleep is. You know, so no, you couldn't do that, unfortunately.
For the hypnotism, one thing I really want to ask you today is, when you do your show, Ken, can you just tell us a little bit about what happens within that show? Because I also want to encourage people this summer, if you haven't yet been to see you, Share with us where you are. It's the Horseshoe Bar, am I right, in Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And just share with us what happens in your act and what time it's on, just so that people can actually connect with you and come and shake your hand for this incredible mission.
Yeah, I mean, I'm there every Saturday from Easter Saturday until the second week in November. It starts at 8:30, and it's the Horseshoe Show Bar, Blackpool Pleasure Beach.
And can you tell us what your act entails? Can you just give us a little insight into what people can expect?
I haven't actually written this year's act yet. I've not written it yet. But normally I will ask for volunteers. I will hypnotise them on stage, and I will make them do weird and wonderful things. That is as much as I can tell you.
Yeah.
I'll hypnotise them to change one word during the karaoke competition, become lap dancers. People say, "Well, what do you do?" I don't know, because a lot of it's ad lib. I'll think of sketches in my head. It's very easy being a stand-up comic, because you can make a joke and you could say, right, okay, you can test it out on your family and friends.
Yes.
Do you think this is funny? Yes, I think that's funny. Or no, that's not. With a hypnosis sketch, when you're writing a sketch, you don't know if it's funny or not. You've no idea, because that person is acting it out. And if you don't get that right person doing the right sketch, it's not funny. So I'll often just have a load of ideas in my head that I'll test out on the first show, keep the ones I like and get rid of the ones I don't.
And are you like Bandler in that when he had, thousands of people in the audience, for example, his NLP, people could just suddenly go under? I once at university, I think, nearly went under, and that can be quite scary. What happens and what do you do if somebody in the crowd accidentally goes under, Ken?
Get them on stage.
Yeah, bring them straight up.
Up
Yeah.
you come. There you go. Yeah, that's what I do. Because it does happen. People do go off in the audience. People do go to sleep in the audience. Whether it's boredom or hypnotism, I don't know. But they do go to sleep in the audience. So, and then I get them on stage, tell them what to do.
Fantastic. And how many roughly is it? When I came to see you, I think it's about 10, and with chairs sequenced out. Is that right?
Depends. I mean, some nights, I'll ask for volunteers and I'll get 20. Other nights, I'll ask for volunteers, I'll get 5. You don't know. Being a hypnotist is just a little bit safer than being a lion tamer, because you've no idea what's going to happen. You've no idea how many's going to get up, how many's going to go under, if they're funny when they are under. You've no idea.
Wow. And that's the joy of it, because live theatre, as I understand as well, is so adrenalizing. As you say, you don't know what's going to happen, but in your particular act, as you said, that's something that you can't pre-prepare, because it all depends. It's a two-way relationship directly in your stage show, isn't it? So
I mean, a singer can go up and sing songs, a comedian can get up and tell jokes. A hypnotist, I am relying on my audience for my show.
Wow.
So I'm relying on them to do a show. I mean, yourself, Cathy, comedy has changed so much over the years. It's changed. So you can't say this and you can't say that, and you don't want to offend this person. I don't give a shit. Simple as that. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
My comedy idol, apart from Stan Laurel, my comedy idol is Ricky Gervais, because Ricky Gervais is so clever. He's so clever. And people nowadays, Gen Z, they just want to be offended. They want to complain about something. They want, oh, you've hurt my feelings. Oh, piss off. And you think, during the war, it's like my mum and dad, when they were kids. My mum was shipped off during the war with the gas mask around her neck and a number. She was shipped off to some complete random strangers up in Scotland. My dad was in his teens when it was during the war, and for 4 years, however long it was, when the sirens went off, you went underground in these Anderson shelters. You didn't, when you woke up in the morning, you didn't know if your family had been killed, if your house had been bombed, if your street had been bombed. You had no idea. Nowadays, a Gen Z person, he called me a nasty name and I need to go to a safe space. Piss off, dickhead. Sorry. It's like, you live through the war, these people, and it's like nowadays, I get offended by words. Words hurt me. Oh, shut up.
But
Don't have time for it.
I think it's part of the constriction and comedians. There's a lot of venues closing around our ears as well. The point being that comedy is the safe space. It is somewhere that we should all be able to go and laugh. And laughter, I say in my book, is the best medicine. And if something's not your cup of tea, or somebody's not your cup of tea, well, then go and find somebody that is. You don't need to pull down leading comics like Chubby Brown, who's brilliant as well. You know, people who, you know, have crafted their trade like you have as well. There's so many on the circuit. If you want the clean acts, there are loads of clean acts that don't swear and all the rest of it. And they also have fantastic acts, and that's their choice and modus operandi. But as you quite rightly said, everybody, all of us should have freedom of choice of how we want to be perceived on that stage and who we are. Would you agree?
I mean, Roy Brown's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And, you know, they've stopped him working in venues. That he's been working for 30 years. You know, and his councils, the council say, we don't want Roy Chubby Brown. Well, you 16 dickheads on a council don't want Roy Chubby Brown, but the 2,500 people that gets in at Sheffield City Hall every time he comes, they want to see him. So they're dictating what you can see and what you can't see. Councils are dictating to people what you can and cannot see. And it is totally wrong. You know, you've got Roy, who does this type of act. You know what you're seeing when you go and see Roy. You know the type of act that he is. But then you've got Jimmy Carr. He's not my cup of tea, but I would never stop him working. I would never say, oh, he's disgusting. Peter Kay, there's all this uproar that he called somebody Lisa Riley. What the But you've got Paul Smith. I don't know if you've heard or seen Paul Smith. Wow. The stuff that he comes out with, I find him quite funny. The stuff that he comes out with, calling women this and women that and all the rest of it. And he's like, whoa, how have you got away with that, Paul? Fair play. And Peter Kay's in this shit for calling somebody Lisa Riley.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I highlight in my book, I once did a Jessie J tribute show in a massive holiday camp, and as I'd stood on the stage in my hot pants and high heels, a little child with blonde hair came to the front, and he had a lightsaber, and it was he was brandishing it like a weapon, and it went right to where it shouldn't. So I'm stood there. Nobody came to save me. So I had to save myself. So I said, can somebody, you know, at the end of my song, can somebody please come and collect the Milky Bar kid? Well, that was it. My manager honestly came backstage and said, you were hilarious. Thank you. Nobody came to collect the child, but I'm afraid I can't pay you until you say sorry to the parents for calling their child the Milky Bar kid. I mean, goodness me, Ken. So I had a Peter Kay moment.
I would rather drink in somewhere like Funny Girls in Blackpool or Pepe's or whoever. I'd rather drink in a gay bar than a Wetherspoons any day of the week.
I agree. And we've had the brilliant Simon onto the channel, Simon Green, who is Betty Legs Diamond. We've actually had him on the channel. That was a fantastic podcast sharing his celebration of his world. And I totally agree with you. And I'm sure he would as well. I always feel safer as a woman, I always did, surrounded by the gay community. So the majority of my friends are gay, you know, and it's just feeling as a woman, of course, a vulnerable woman. I feel safer in these venues, as you say. So it's just about accepting that we're all equal. That's what I want to conclude today. I mean,
as a man in a gay bar, you don't feel that safe sometimes. The Mardi Gras in Blackpool, I had some great nights in the Mardi Gras bar. But once, you know, the guys know that you're straight, they're fine.
You know, the space is safe. We don't need to keep finding safe spaces. You do right now in your travels, but nobody else does. And, you know, if the more we say it, the more fear we're spreading, the more... the more separation. And we've had a lot of separation already in the last 4 years. So, you know, I want to conclude today's chat today in highlighting what a kind-hearted, great-spirited human being you are, Ken. And Honestly,
Thank you.
been a pleasure getting to know you, because you embody entertainment, and you are obviously an incredible soul, because this is a huge challenge, and one that so few people before you, I'm sure, have ever done. And I think it's incredible that you'll put yourself into vulnerable positions, into unsafe circumstances. You lost your map, you're then in a
Oh.
carriage, you don't know what's ahead of you, you're trying to get to Australia, and like Dorothy with your red shoes, trying to find the way to Oz.
I know. I feel like I'm a cross between Alan Wicker and Ross Kemp.
And with only Warwick, your backpack with you on your journey, and I hope he makes it too. That's important.
I'm sure he will.
I'm sure he will. And so what I want to say to conclude today is thank you so much for your podcast. Have you enjoyed yourself, Ken?
I have, yeah. It's been really nice. I'm going to go out now and get something to eat. Don't know what it'll be. Dog, cat, giraffe. I've no idea. But I've thoroughly enjoyed myself, and it's been a pleasure to meet you.
And you too, Ken. So I wish you all the very best ahead. And just to finish, how can people contact you directly, Ken, on your website or connections, please?
Okay, if you go to www.kendownunder.com, all the details for all the social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and there's a link there if you want to make a donation. Everything's on www.kendownunder.com.
And that is for Brian House. Just tell us a little bit again about what that charity is,
Brian
Ken.
House Children's Charity. Brian House is a children's hospice in Blackpool, where poorly children who have got life-threatening illnesses, life-shortening illnesses. It helps to give a bit of respite for the parents, and it's where the children go. And they need about £1.6 million a year to keep open, but the government very kindly give them about 260, which is nice.
So thanks to good-hearted souls like you, Ken, not just an incredible hypnotist act. If anybody wants to go to the Horseshoe Bar in Blackpool and go and shake your hand and buy you a pint for all your travels and everything you've done. But on top of that, please do. I want to encourage people today to donate, because what a fantastic achievement ahead of you, and what you are going to achieve by getting to Oz. And God bless you on the rest of your travels. And God bless all the children at Brian House, who this is your mission in support of them. Thank you, Ken, for your wonderful time today. I look forward to following the rest of your journey. God bless, and have a wonderful evening tonight. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Cathy. Thank you.
Bye-bye, love. Bye-bye.